This program contains dramatic reenactments and material that may be disturbing to some audience members. Viewer discretion is advised.
The thriving city of Seattle, hub of the tech industry and the coffee capital of the world. August 15, 1982, a day young detective Dave Reichart of King County Police would never forget.
This rafter had drifted down the river, so as he's drifting down the river, he sees what he thinks are two mannequins that are placed up against the bank of the river. And it looks like they have a couple of rocks placed on top of them to hold them. As the rafter gets closer, he sees that these are not mannequins. They're human. Of course, they've been there a while and they're dead.
Officer Sue Peters saw police forensics pull the bodies of Marcia Chapman, Cynthia Hines, and Opal Mills from the riverside.
Just being at the riverbank, seeing the victims' bodies in the water, it was, shocking and upsetting, that someone came to their death in that manner.
The killer had both strangled and had sex with all three victims. The police made a connection. A month before, two other women, Wendy Caulfield and Deborah Bonner, had been strangled and dumped on the banks of the Green River. Just off the Pacific Highway en route to Seattle Airport lies the notorious SeaTac Strip, still the most lucrative area for prostitution.
It was hard to actually figure out what day they disappeared or what time.
A lot of these witnesses were alcoholics or drug addicts themselves, so to try to get them to remember the victims was almost impossible to do.
All five of the victims so far had been dumped in or around water. But in September '82, the Green River killer changed his pattern. He started dumping bodies in urban waste ground instead.
Even though this site is some 5.5 miles away from the Green River, police do believe that this latest victim is related to the Green River case.
Giselle Lavorne's strangled body was discovered close to the SeaTac Strip. She was found in an abandoned lot under the flight path of Seattle Airport. And just like the others, no one had heard her scream. No one had seen her murdered. A few months later, Linda Rule's scattered bones turned up in a Seattle building site.
The majority of the remains were discovered by accident.
Pressure was mounting on King County Police.
This is the corner of 3rd and Cherry in downtown Seattle. On September 12, 1983, 20-year-old Tracy Winston was standing just about where I am right now. That was the last time she was seen.
Like many girls working the Strip, Tracy Winston had been a difficult, wayward teenager who left home young and was lured into casual prostitution. Tracy was walking back from King County Jail, where she'd been arrested for soliciting, when she disappeared. Just before leaving, she'd phoned her parents, promising them she would change her life. It was the last time her mother, Myrtie, heard from her.
I didn't know where to turn my grief. I was terrified all the time, terrified of finding that Tracy was gone from us forever, and yet terrified of living with the fact that she was just missing and would never be found.
Then, in May '83, an 8th body, 20 miles away, in Maple Valley.
Carol Christensen was not a prostitute. She was an employee at a local bar in the south end of Seattle.
Got stone in the vagina. Why?
By the end of 1983, another 7 more women had been discovered. Those, plus the 8 already found, raised the body count to 15.
We were sad and ripped apart inside because someone else had been killed, but at the same time you're hoping, okay, now this is the case. This is the one that will solve the whole puzzle. We'll find that piece that will tie this all together.
Over the next 6 months, almost 2 victims a week were being found, sending the new task force into a spin.